Hey, good Monday morning, everyone. This is Joe. Welcome to my scripture reflection for Monday, August the 28th. I had the occasion to preside at funeral services both on Saturday and Sunday, yesterday, of this weekend. And I will tell you that none of them are easy, but for some reason, these two really were challenging for me in the perspective of how much my heart went out to these people. It always does. My heart always goes to the people who I'm with when presiding at someone who has experienced a loss. But these two were maybe just a little bit more so this weekend, and I was trying to figure out why. It certainly was, as I mentioned, a difficult situation on Saturday with this gentleman named Richard. And yesterday, actually, the man's name was Joseph, and he was a lonely person, I found out. And the people there were seemingly that much more sad at his loss. So I got to thinking that, I see these people in the situation where they're there at the funeral home or the graveside, and we all know what that's like, but we might have encountered them in the store an hour before, or in a restaurant 2 hours later, or on the street an hour before, and not realized because we weren't in the setting, if you will, that they experienced a loss. So I guess my point is that it comes back to that point that we should always be kind to people because we don't know what they're going through. And, it's not just in the funeral home or at the graveside that they're mourning a loss. It's everywhere. And you just don't know sometimes what people are experiencing. So just a thought to start our Monday morning. It's really not a somber thought. It's a joyful thought. It's one that should put a more joyful expression in ourselves and in our heart so that we can be that much more positive towards others. With that in mind, I will ask you, as I always do, to quiet your minds and hearts as we prepare to hear today's gospel, which is from St. Matthew, chapter 23, verses 13 to 22. Jesus said to the crowds and to his disciples, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You lock the kingdom of heaven before men. You do not enter yourselves, nor do you allow entrance to those trying to enter. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You traverse sea and land to make one convert, and when that happens, you make him a child of Gehenna twice as much as yourselves. Woe to you, blind guides, who, if one swears by the temple, it means nothing, but if one swears by gold of the temple, one is obligated. Blind fools, which is greater, the gold or the temple that made the gold sacred? And you, I say, if one swears by the altar, it means nothing, but if one swears by the gift on the altar, one is obligated. You blind ones, which is greater, the gift or the altar that makes the gift sacred? One who swears by the altar swears by it and all that upon it. One who swears by the temple swears by it and by him who dwells in it. One who swears by heaven swears by the throne of God and by him who is seated on it." Well, I don't know about you, but I get a little bit of a tingle up my spine when I hear Jesus saying, "Woe to you." And I want to say, well, I hope he's not saying woe to me. And sometimes we say to ourselves, "Oh, those scribes and Pharisees, glad I'm not one of them." Well, let's think about it a little bit. Let's think about it. Let's not put ourselves too high on a position or too low on a position. I thought about this gospel a lot because it is one that's seemingly a little bit difficult, but I brought it down to a very basic level. I brought it down to a game of pin the tail on the donkey. Yeah, okay, yes, he's crazy, this guy that you're listening to, but it is. Think about it. There were crowds in this gospel, and Jesus is yelling at them, "Woe to you, blind one." And they're, sitting back like, what's going on here? So let's evaluate it in the sense and in the context of pin the tail on the donkey. You have a blindfold on. You're trying to go and pin a tail on a donkey. Now be nice to that donkey. You know how much I love them. That said, there's people all around screaming and carrying on. Crowds are yelling by you. In this case, children usually. Go this way, go that way. And you don't really know what to do because you're so confused and you're so taken by your blindness. You don't think about the other gifts you might have, the sense of touch, the sense of just being hearing, all the senses that you have, you're dispelling them. You're only thinking of your blindness. You're not thinking of your gifts, as Jesus says in the gospel. And you're listening a little too much to the crowds that are yelling. Isn't this the case sometimes when we are pursuing our faith life or anything else in our life? We are captivated by what we don't have. We are always seeing and thinking what we can't see or do instead of what we can see or do. We're also sometimes listening a little too much to others who are maybe in some cases in a good way or seemingly a good way, shouting to us what to do. This is the time, my friends, where we realize what we do have. We realize the gifts that we do have from God, what we can do. And we listen only a little bit to others and listen more to our heart and what our heart is telling us to do. And then we connect our heart to our mind. And then we put forth, here it comes, our best effort. And effort means so much in this gospel and in every other one, but more so when we seemingly are blinded. We need our best effort to muddle through all these issues, to realize what we do have, to listen less to the crowds and more to our heart. Well, my friends, that's my message for you on this Monday morning. As always, I hope it was helpful. Please take it into your day and into your week. Please share it with others if it was helpful for you. I would ask you to just take a moment of silence to reflect on what we've heard in the gospel today, and then I'll close with a prayer. Most loving God, we thank you for the gifts you give us every day. We ask you for the wisdom to focus on those gifts of what we have, not what we do not have. We ask also for the wisdom to listen with a filter to the crowds around us and listen more so to our heart. Where our heart is telling us what to do and where to go, we follow. And then we put our trust in you. My friends, I wish you all a wonderful Monday, and I hope to see you back here tomorrow. Take care, everyone.